we are commanded, and we are programmed and planned by God to pass through the narrow gate into his kingdom. So what is that narrow gate? Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, the life. But he also said, I am the gate of the sheep. And that is a narrow gate we are following. Jesus passed through a narrow gate. He came on earth, lived 33 years, and then died. And that death was narrow, a narrow gate, a hard gate. There is no death that is pleasant. And it's very narrow because there is only space for you. That is personal. It's individual. Even though you may suppose that someone dies in a car crash or a plane crash or a boat sink, even though there were many people in the same place dying together, but actually they were not dying together, they are not. Everyone has experienced death individually. The experience of death is individual. Now let's look at the life that God planned for his people. We have seen Abraham and the way God asked him to sacrifice his son. Not that he wanted it, but just to reveal to him that he didn't want human sacrifice. He just wanted obedience. And he even said in his word, obedience is better than sacrifice. That's what God is teaching till today. Still today till still tomorrow. We look at Job. Job that started suffering through no fault of his. We see the story of how the devil had to take permission from God to afflict him. And he passed him through the mill. He lost his family, he lost his properties, he even lost his personal health. And he knew that it was not something that he had done. And he went through that, and for him that was really a narrow gate. With all people jeering, even his own wife, telling him to curse God and die. But in the end, God restored him more than fully. Other disciples of Jesus suffered. Jesus told his disciples that he was going to be crucified and that he would die at the hands of the Romans. And he warned his disciples that the servant is not bigger than his master, that what he was going to go through, they would also see. He warned them about persecutions. But they didn't understand at the time. But later on, they saw that out of the 12 disciples remaining after one replaced Judas, 11 had a violent death. They were persecuted and killed. Peter was crucified. And even others later on, like Paul. Paul was beheaded for nothing, just because he was a servant of God. And so we see that that narrow gate is Jesus. And as we give him our life, we become engulfed in him, planted in him, he in us and us in him. And in him we have already died, because when he died for us. And then as we follow him in a slow and willing death of self. The more we die to self, the more he lives in us. And it's that narrow gate that may feel sometimes like a tunnel. Sometimes it's like time slows down. And we are in that dark place. And at the end, there is always sunlight, because Jesus is also the light. And that death we have lived through in life, as we grow in Him and die to ourselves, then we pass through a second one, death, physical death. And that whatever shape it takes, we are now continuing the life of resurrection, the other side. So Jesus is the gate, and accepting Him makes us passing through a purification, a sanctification, a time of shaping and molding, as He is the potter and we are the clay. And then we die to self and live more and more to Him, He living in us, according to Galatians 2:20. And that is a narrow gate, but a narrow gate of joy and utter pleasure and satisfaction, as we experience life that grows and grows and grows to the noonday. So take heart and live fully for Him.